Well, that was something. So my last video, I was crying my eyes out because I was ready for my doctor to push a C-section at the induction on July 1st. So we went to the hospital and got signed in. They monitored the baby for a little while. They did all the paperwork. I signed all the documents. And the nurses were saying, oh, the doctor's not answering her phone calls. She said in the paperwork that she was going to start you this morning on the induction, and then she would turn you over to the other doctor on call. And so they called her, she didn't answer. An hour went by, she didn't answer. 2 hours went by, she didn't answer. And then they started talking to us about, we might have to reschedule you because your doctor's not showing. She's not answering their calls and their texts and everything. So we ended up being there for about 4 hours. I think we got there at like 11:15, 11:20 for our 12 o'clock appointment. We were early and she didn't answer their calls, and we left I think at 4 o'clock. It might have been 3 o'clock. So about 4 to 5 hours of a doctor that didn't show up for her induction that day, that she didn't want to give me anyway because she wanted me to have a C-section. So I was in that hospital room just bawling because this doctor is already pushing me, and she said she'd give it one shot, and she was going to induce me on July 3rd, and then she decided she'd do it on July 1st because she was scared that the baby was too big, because she did an ultrasound on June 30th, and it measured that the baby was 10 pounds, 11 ounces, which I highly doubt. If I have a 10-pound baby, then I'll say, okay, I was wrong. But I really don't think I have a 10-pound baby at 39 weeks. We'll see. Anyway, so she tried to get me on the first and said she'd give it one shot, and if I stalled at a 4, she was going to C-section me. If I stalled at a 7, she was going to C-section me. If we had any problems, she was not going to use forceps or a vacuum. She was not going to assist in any way. It was just to see if I could do it. And if anything went wrong, she was going to give me a C-section. And I said, fine, okay, just let me try. And she said, okay. So she ended up not showing, sent me a text at like 5:45 that night, maybe 6 o'clock, and said, oh, I'm so sorry, I went boating and I forgot. She forgot about my induction. Likely story. I think she just didn't want me to. And if she did forget, then it was probably like a Freudian slip or something. Like her subconscious didn't want her to do it because she was scared. And she already had told me she felt uncomfortable doing it. She was going to have the other on-call doctor do it. She just wanted to start it. But yeah, that didn't happen. So I cried and cried and cried and cried and cried and cried because I thought I was going to be forced into a C-section because she wasn't going to induce me. And so my husband called the on-call doctor who was originally going to finish my delivery, and that doctor said, I'm too tired to come in. I was up late last night. I'm not going to come in. So he was like, can you please come in? She is here. We've been here for 4 hours. We need to, do this because the doctor wants her induced today initially. And the lady was like, no, I'm not going to come in. So I cried more, and I cried and I cried and I cried. And then, so I was just still crying, and I was like, really I have never cried so much in my whole life. I just was bawling my eyes out because I'm like, nobody will induce me. I can't switch doctors, and the on-call doctor won't do anything. My doctor won't answer her phone, and turns out she was boating. So then Cody went out again to the hall, and he said, there's got to be another doctor here. Someone has to be here. So we found another doctor who had just delivered 2 babies that day. Not on call, he just is a doctor that shows up for his patients. So Yeah, that's nice. He talked to that doctor and said, can you come talk to my wife? Because I don't think I'm going to be able to get her back in here. And he was right. I don't know if he could have if I had not found another option. And that doctor came in and I was still crying after like an hour. And he like talked to me again about the risks. And he's like, I deliver 11-pound babies all the time. This is fine. I can do it. And I'm like, okay. And then he felt bad. He's like, well, I don't want to take you away from your other doctor. And I'm like, are you kidding me? There's no way I'm ever talking to that doctor again. She stood me up completely and put me through all of this emotional distress, and I was just a wreck. So he like tried to persuade me, like, if you change your mind, you can go back to her, but I don't have a problem delivering you. And I'm like, oh yes. But I have to establish care by going to his office on Monday so that he can have my records and paperwork and everything. So I am going to his office on Monday, July 3rd, the original date I had scheduled for my C-section or my induction, and he will review that with me in the morning, and then I'm scheduled for 8 p.m. on July 3rd. So that's the update. It has been awful. I look awful because I've been crying and I haven't slept and I haven't eaten because I've been just very distressed and it's been horrible. So I have one more day. Today is July 2nd, the day after that mess. And tomorrow is the day. So tomorrow morning I have an appointment with the new doctor. Tomorrow night I have an induction and we will have a baby by July 4th. So I'm hoping the baby will fit. I don't feel so pressured. I don't feel like I'm going to cry like I did the first day when I recorded this, and I was crying because I was like, she's going to make me have a C-section because she's not going to really work with me. She's just letting me see if I can do it. This time I'm like, okay, if I have to have a C-section, that is fine. I'm not against that. I am against not giving me a chance to see if those measurements are wrong. What if I have an 8-pound baby? I will be so mad that they're threatening me that my baby's 12 pounds. But if she doesn't fit, if she gets stuck, that's totally fine. I don't care if I have a C-section. I just want to try because I don't believe that my baby jumped from 6 pounds, 34 weeks she was measuring 6 pounds. 37 weeks it jumped up to 9 pounds. And I think that was a little bit too much. I think she should have been about 8 pounds if it was, constant from the 6 pounds, half a pound a week, 8 pounds at 37. And then from 37 to 39, it jumped from that 9-pound measurement up to 10 pounds, 11 ounces. So 10.5 pounds in 2 weeks, from week 37 to 39. So 2 weeks, a full 1.5 pounds difference. That just doesn't, I'm like, how can you do that? How can you jump up 3 pounds in a month and then 2 more pounds in 2 weeks, or 1.5 pounds or whatever in another 2 weeks? Like, that's just, like, those measurements are so crazy. And I just don't feel like I have a baby that big. I have gained 3 pounds since May, and it is July. So in a full 2 months, I asked my OB to track my weight. She looked at my record. She says, you've gained about 2 to 3 pounds in 2 months. So for my baby to be gaining all this weight, I would have to be losing a ton of weight. I don't feel like she's 11 pounds. And I just am fighting with all the doctors, except for the new one. So hopefully I'm right. If I'm wrong, that's fine. But I would like to try. I would like to have a shot. Just because I don't want to put my body through major surgery if I end up having an 8-pound baby, then they were wrong. Because I can do an 8-pounder, I can probably do a 9-pounder, I can probably do up to a 10-pounder, maybe. 11 pounds, I don't think I can. But I also don't think she's 11 pounds. A week before her due date. Today, I am exactly 39 weeks. Tomorrow, I'll be 39 weeks one day. So anyway, that's my story. I just am demolished. I'm just so worn out. I'm so tired. I'm exhausted. I'm emotionally and physically tired. It was a huge roller coaster so mad at that initial doctor. I don't understand how you go boating and forget that you have an induction on the day that you say it's the one shot you'll give to your patient to deliver because you think she needs a C-section. So she tried to force me into her way, and I said no, but I'm just very bitter and I'm very mad. So anyway, and also I have a lot of fear around it because I'm like, what if I am wrong? What if she's right all along? But it doesn't matter. I'm not going to let my baby get distressed. I'm not going to, like, let her get a dropping heart rate or whatever. I don't know. Like, I had complications with my first pregnancy, and if I could have prevented those or stopped them, I would have. I wouldn't have let her get more distressed or more hurt. And I'm not going to let that happen with this baby either. If things look like they're heading downhill, we'll end it with a C-section. If it looks like we can do it, we'll try to do it. But I'm obviously not going to put my baby's safety at risk. So, anyway. Lots of anger, lots of sad, lots of frustrated, disappointed, anxious, nervous, meeting a new doctor who I have never talked to more than 5 minutes, who will be delivering a baby, which is kind of weird, but whatever. It happened the first time too. I had a new doctor deliver Capri in the last hour of labor, which is fine. It was weird, but fine. So, anyway, just a lot of annoyances, basically. So, this is the update. July 2nd, still pregnant. Hopefully we'll have a baby on July 4th.